Hello, my name is Don Babcock, and this is a series of new videos on IGeoCacher 2.0. And I thought what I would do is really just go through the application and provide a set of videos that pretty much go screen by screen. So what you see here is the home screen, and we'll just talk about the various features. At the upper left hand side you see a search entry field. We'll talk about that in a minute. The cancel button is associated with a search entry field. Just below that you see a status display shown here, showing 165 out of 165 caches in the database being displayed. On the right side you see a display that has some numbers in it. These will show you the various groups that are activated. Right now I have groups 1 and 2 activated, and I'm showing all caches, and we'll talk about that when we get to the second tab. There's an informational button which will, if you press it, will give you some brief help, although most of the help is quite frankly to be found on the website. But it does give you some general information about features and version information, and that can be useful. The majority of the display is taken up with the actual cache listing, which you can scroll through. And you can sort this display in a number of orders, and the next buttons to the right of the information display are fundamentally how you want to display the caches. So the default is to sort by name, and that's this name here. And that's just an alphabetic sort, so you see these ones with quotes come first, even though you might they might appear to be actually after in terms of the alphabet. Quote actually in the sorting order of things comes first, so those caches show up. If you pick a particular cache and make it the active cache, you can then sort by distance from that cache. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick Tom's Foolery here, for example. So by picking it, we've selected that cache. If we come back over here and click on the cache button, now you see Tom's Foolery is at the top, and you see its coordinates, and you see all of the remaining caches in basically ascending order of distance and bearing from the selected cache. And of course we can go back to name sort here, and we see that as before. In the name mode, I'm just showing the individual latitudes and longitudes. And let's talk about this brief information entry. We have a cache icon over here on the left, which shows roughly the type of cache. Of course, you have single caches here, multi-caches. We have some puzzle caches. There's a letterbox cache. There's actually a web cache here. So the symbol basically follows the cache type. And then you have the title. You have its GC ID, or what I call a cache ID. Most of the time that's the GC identifier. And then you have the latitude and the longitude. And this is in whole degrees and minutes, decimal minutes. And I'm using the usual convention as far as the sign of the latitudes and the longitudes. So you have west longitudes are negative, and south latitudes would be negative. So that pretty much covers this first display. If we were to sort by position, that would show you the caches in order of ascending distance from the current GPS location. And the reason this is showing some large numbers in the simulator is that current GPS location in the simulator happens to be Apple headquarters in Cupertino, California. So don't get faked out by that. In the real device, it will show more sensible numbers. And then finally, there's an ad hoc, and we'll talk about that in a minute. An ad hoc basically ignores all of the sorting criteria that you might be applying, and explicitly uses an SQL query. So you can query in ways that I've not even thought of by using an ad hoc query. That's sort of a design your own query facility, and we'll talk about that in a subsequent video. Going back to the name sort here, I just want to introduce the searching feature to you. Searching basically is nothing but a plain text search that searches on the title, the GCID, and even some of the descriptive information. So you may or may not see the search information that you're looking for in the title, but if it happened to show up in the description, you'd find it. So for example, here I'm going to click on the search screen, and we'll put in EGG for egg. And we'll go ahead and click on the search button, and now you can see I have two caches here, and they come up because by virtue of the fact that I have egg in both of the titles. Again, that could appear also in the actual cache description that's searched as well. If you click on any cache, you get the detail display, and the detail display shows you the full information that I have available for the cache from the GPX file. And we'll talk about that display in the next video. One more thing, now that we have actually selected down some caches using search criteria, how do we get rid of that? Well, you just click on the search button again, and it brings up the keyboard. And if you just back out the text, you'll see that the search button actually goes dark. That's an Apple feature, and that's where the cancel button comes in. This cancel button up here then allows you to go ahead and dismiss the keyboard, and now you see we're back to showing 165 out of 165 caches. So that's the way you back out of the search criteria.